Have you ever wondered why customers seem interested in your farm, but they never actually follow through and buy? Sometimes the problem isn't your product, it's the unanswered questions in your marketing. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how turning your customers' frequently asked questions into content can actually turn into farm sales. Let's get started.
Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show.
Well, welcome to episode 353 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I'm your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. That's Northwest Ohio. I'm also the founder of mydigitalfarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers get confident in their marketing and sales strategy so that you can grow a profitable business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the show, all my regular listeners. And if you're new, I'm glad you're here today. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and check out my first 10 episodes. I always send people there. If you are new to the marketing world and you really want to get the 101, that's the place to go. I designed them many years ago, very intentionally for future audiences like you, so that it would be an on-ramp into the marketing lingo that we talk about here. Another place to go to get onboarded is to join my email list. Go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. It's easy to remember. When you do, I'm going to send you an email like every 5 days for maybe 3 months. I just redid my welcome email sequence for people who join my list, and I point you to the really good podcast episodes to listen to. So I give you some free resources and trainings and freebies. It's really good stuff. I get a lot of good feedback on it. And if you just stay in that for a few months, man, you're going to learn a ton of information. So that's mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe.
Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at Localine. A new year is the perfect time to streamline your sales and grow more profitably. So if you run a CSA or you sell wholesale or manage both, Localine helps you streamline your sales and scale with confidence. In 2025, farms and food hubs that used Localine grew their sales by 33%, building on the 23% growth they saw the year before. Average order values increased by 31%. I know mine did. And total order count grew by 9%. Look, real results across operations of all sizes. Localine brings everything together in one platform. They have CSA management, wholesale ordering, automated inventory, barcode scanning, a box builder, and POS so that you spend less time managing admin and more time growing your business. And switching couldn't be easier. There are no setup fees, my friends, no sales commissions, and their onboarding team will migrate your storefront for free, taking the workload off your plate, and that usually only takes a few days. As a podcast listener, you'll also get one premium feature for free for a full year when you use the code MDF2026 at checkout. So go to mydigitalfarmer.com/local-line and then enter that code MDF2026. Start 2026 organized, efficient, and ready to grow with Localine. And now back to the show.
I'm excited you're here today. I'm having an amazing week. Like, I'm in a zone. Do you ever have that? I spent yesterday preparing a promotion for our spring plant sale. And you guys, it was fun. It was actually fun to put together because I had done the work last year of documenting what I did before. Like, I put all the emails into a Google Doc. All the social media posts from last year were in that Google Doc. All my stats and notes that I had taken on the promotion so that I didn't have to start from scratch. And you know what I did? I took that whole document, I copied and pasted it into ChatGPT, and I said, here's what I did last year. Help me think through a promotion for this year. And we made some adjustments. We talked through pricing increase and a slightly different way that I was going to position the offer. And I made some new product bundles based on its suggestions. And then working with chat, we like put together a new email promotion sequence that was even better than last year. And what was so interesting is that the whole process felt lighter. I think it maybe took me 3 or 4 hours, but it felt fun. It wasn't this heavy lift. I didn't have to stare at a blank screen and start from scratch. I had like 80% of it there, and I just had to retweak it. Oh, I love it. So for all of you who haven't yet learned that lesson to track your promotions that you spend all this time building, like put them somewhere in a Google Doc, organize it so you can come back and reuse it. That right there is pure gold wisdom. And now that ChatGPT is in the equation, things just go faster. I feel like they're better. I get more energized by the interaction and the ideas that come out of my brainstorm partner, ChatGPT. And like I said, it just feels lighter. So anyway, if you want to come inside farm marketing school, I just dropped a new project into the school, and we're working on it in the month of March. For those of the people who want to do it, I'm encouraging people to train their ChatGPT bot for their farm. Like turn ChatGPT into your farm assistant, and I'm giving you the prompts. I'm giving you the exact step-by-step on how to do that. What do you feed the bot so that it understands your business and it can become basically your super powerful virtual assistant and be able to do all this incredible stuff. It's about a 3-hour process to do the project, but I walk people through step-by-step how to do it. It's so good. I'm excited about it. And it's just going to make doing all the projects in farm marketing school so much faster, because if you train the bot, it can basically do a lot of the writing from the other projects. So super excited. I hope you join my community. I'm having a lot of fun in there. Let's dive in to today's topic, because we're already at 8 minutes into the show. I want to start out with a quick story. The other day, I was looking for a desk for our office for Kurt. And I went on to Facebook Marketplace and I found one that looked perfect. It was located in Genoa, which for us is like 10 minutes away. So the location was good. The photos were really good, had nice lighting, multiple angles. I could see what it looked like. I could imagine it looking in our, how it would look in our space. It seemed sturdy. But the description was extremely short. It said something like sturdy desk, located in Genoa, and then the price. And the one piece of information I needed before I could decide if I wanted to buy it wasn't there. Can you guess what it was? Yeah, it was the dimensions of the desk. And without that one piece of information, I couldn't figure out if it would fit in the space we had for it. Now, I could have messaged the seller and asked, but I didn't. I moved on, and that seller probably lost the sale, not because the desk wasn't good, but because the information that I needed to make a decision wasn't available. It wasn't easy. And I see this kind of thing happening in farm marketing all the time. Sometimes customers want to buy from you, but they have 1 or 2 questions that are holding them back, that they need answered before they feel comfortable moving forward. And if those questions aren't answered easily, and they're not easy to figure out, they simply won't buy. So today, this is what inspired the episode, I want to talk about customer objections and why understanding your customer objections, their frequently asked questions, might be one of the most important marketing skills that you develop and master in your marketing. So, what is an objection? Because I want us to really parse this out. There's kind of two ways that I look at objections. When someone encounters your product, they are trying to answer a very simple question. Will this solve my problem? Or will it satisfy a desire I have? And before they commit, their brain starts asking questions. And those questions are what we call objections in the marketing space. Sometimes the objection shows up as a frequently asked question or an FAQ. In fact, I often tell farmers in farm marketing school that FAQs and objections are basically cousins. They're very similar. They're in the same family. They're the questions someone needs answered before they will feel confident moving forward, taking the next step in your sales funnel. And sometimes that means buying, but sometimes it just means getting on your list. Some objections are logistical questions. Okay, these are like the FAQs. They're easy to answer. Things like, where are you located? Or where are the pickup locations? Or what markets are you at? Or what does it cost? How do I actually place an order? But other questions are more like objections, and they're more about like fit or lifestyle or alignment of values. And a person has to kind of get over this hurdle. It's not just a simple, oh, give me the information, but sometimes it's like, I need you to shift my mindset. So, can my family get through that much food? What if I don't know how to cook these vegetables? Is the product worth that price? What if the meat cuts aren't what I like? And then there are like trust and authority questions where they're trying to figure out if they can trust you, if you have the credentials. Is this farm legit? Is the food good quality? Are they really growing this themselves? Okay, so all of these questions are completely normal and you should expect them. They are part of the buying process. And your job as the marketer in your business is to know your ideal customer enough, well enough, to anticipate those questions and answer them before they stop the sale. So this is where you're intentionally creating content in the messaging process in the sales funnel before a person even gets ready to buy. You've already addressed the questions so that they never even hit up against the wall. So let me give you some examples of common objections farm customers have in the context of your own farm. I wanted to have a section in the podcast like this because I think sometimes when farmers who are first learning about this concept hear about it, they aren't even really sure like what falls into this category. So let me quickly run through some very common FAQs that maybe should be addressed on your sales page, on your website, and your social, wherever. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some of them may not apply to you, but let's go through some really common ones. Basic logistical questions. Things like, where are you located? What are your hours? Where can I buy your produce? What farmers markets are you at? How do I place an order online? What are the pickup sites and pickup times? All right, these are very black and white answers. It's not a gray zone. It's not like a question of values or, well, it depends. Like you're either open on Sundays or you're not, right? And that's going to be a determining factor for some people. Yes or no. Am I in that area on the days that you're open or am I not? And that's going to determine whether they can buy from you. So these may seem obvious to you, but if they aren't clearly stated somewhere in your messaging, they can become roadblocks. It creates friction. Now, I'm a CSA, so I'm going to share some examples of CSA-specific objections. And if you run a CSA or you're thinking about it, you've definitely heard some of these before. Is this too much food for my household? Now, that's a subjective question. I can tell people how many vegetables they'll get in the box, but it may still not really help them figure out if that's too much food, right? So this is where I'm going to maybe have to do a little bit more hand-holding in my content to try and help them see and judge for themselves if it is. What if I don't like certain vegetables that you give me? What if I go on vacation and I miss a pickup? How long do the vegetables last? Do you provide recipes and help me figure out how to use the food? Am I going to waste a lot of food? Is it worth the cost compared to what I might get at the grocery store? These are very normal questions. I know some of them get our hackles raised, but we need to let that go, all right? Because ultimately we're here to serve the customer and we're here to try and remove friction and help them. Sometimes I look at myself like a doctor prescribing medicine. Like, can this help you? Do I really believe this is going to help you? Because then I'm going to be passionate about pitching my product to you. And I'm going to try to show you how all your questions can be overcome. But ultimately, I'm not trying to force someone to make a decision they're not comfortable with. I'm just trying to answer their questions and let them decide for themselves. All right, if you have a meat share or maybe you have bulk beef buyers, these customers often have, I guess I would call them process questions, like how much freezer space do I need? How many pounds of meat am I actually going to get? What does the cut sheet mean? Help me figure out how to use this. Where is the animal processed? What is hanging weight? I don't understand what that means, right? There's a lot of lingo you have to teach them. How will the meat be packaged? Why does it cost more or less than grocery store beef? Like, they're just questions about cost. And if these questions aren't clearly answered, people are going to hesitate and they won't move forward in the buying process. And the buying process may not actually be going to the website and clicking on buy beef and putting a deposit down. It might be first step reaching out to you and saying, I'm interested. And then you have a one-to-one sales call. And that's where you close the deal, right? But you've got to know what are the questions that are keeping a person from moving forward into the next step in the conversion channel. Farmers markets. Usually the objections there I find are about usage. So it might be, well, how do I cook this vegetable? What does it taste like? How do I store this? Is this organic? Do you accept credit cards or SNAP benefits? And then if you sell produce or product online, which has been a really awesome marketing outlet for us, by the way, with Local Line, I just have to tell you, it's our growing edge in our business. Online store customers, they're thinking about convenience type questions. So what's the order deadline? Where are the pickup sites? They want to know that before they start putting things in their cart. So have you explained that in the paragraph above the store? Is it really clear? Here's going to be step 1, put items in your cart. Step 2, minimum order this much, check out, choose your pickup location, right? Show them what the steps are so that they're clear about how it's going to work. And then they're going to be ready to do step 1, which is start putting things in the cart. This is a really common problem that I see. It comes up a lot with one-to-one calls in farm marketing school where farmers are like, oh, man, I am not getting conversions. And often one of the main issues is that a person stops in their tracks because they can't figure out what happens after I start putting things in the cart. They don't understand the whole step 1, step 2, step 3 process. And so when we create together some assets and put them in the right place, we put them in the step right before a person goes to the store so that everyone has to pass through that messaging channel. It opens the floodgates up and suddenly people now know how it works. And now they're ready to go in and start placing their order. Okay, so what is the order deadline? Where do I pick up? How does buying work? What happens if something's out of stock? What's your refund policy? All of these are objections, okay? And I find that most farms generally have about 5 to 7 FAQs or objections that come up again and again and again. In other words, every ideal customer that comes through your funnel is pretty much going to have the same 5 to 7, and you're going to have to overcome the same 5 to 7 in a very systematic way. And then they get through those answers and they turn into buyers and they move on and they ascend your product ladder and they buy a lot of things and they make you a lot of money over the lifetime of their time with you. But you constantly have new people coming into your funnel, and that ideal customer is going to have the same darn questions. So we've got to have a process and a system in your marketing funnel that is addressing them. Okay. You've got to create a mechanism in your business in multiple places, usually, so that it greases the wheels, right? We're greasing the sales funnel. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at citizensalmonalaska.com. If you run a CSA and you're always looking for value-added products that feel aligned but don't create more work for you, I want to tell you about Citizen Salmon Alaska. This is my 5th season partnering with them, and I keep coming back for a really simple reason. It works, and I genuinely love their product. Our CSA members love it too. The wild sockeye salmon is a standout. The scallops disappear fast. And I trust the people behind the business. Citizen Salmon is a small family-run seafood company working directly with independent fishermen out of Homer, Alaska. They offer wild sockeye salmon, halibut, black cod, shrimp, and even in-house smoked seafood, which makes it an especially easy add-on for CSA farms. Here's why this partnership is such a win for farms like mine. I get to expand my product suite without taking on fulfillment. So I promote Citizen Salmon to my audience. My customers order directly from their website using a farm-specific code, and then Citizen Salmon ships the frozen fish straight to them, and I earn a commission without having to handle inventory or packing or delivery. And the timing just works. Halibut in the spring, salmon as the summer approaches, and then there are these beautiful seafood gift offerings for the holidays. It's 3 different promotions and 3 different opportunities to earn revenue. They are currently signing up new farm partners through April. So if you're curious whether this could be a fit for your CSA, head to citizensalmonalaska.com and reach out to Aaron to get the conversation started. That's Citizen Salmon Alaska, wild seafood done the right way, and a partnership that I'm proud to recommend. And now back to the show. So once you know what the objections are, the next step is asking yourself, where in my marketing do I answer these questions? Because your marketing should constantly be removing those roadblocks. That's what I meant when I said you build a mechanism. It is a system. It's not something you do once or every now and then when you think about it. It is a repetitive part of your messaging in this piece of the sales funnel. So let me explain some of the places where I think this happens. I think I picked out 4. Yep. The first one I wanted to highlight was lead magnets. This is a great example. A lead magnet is a piece of content that you give to a customer in exchange for their email address. So if you are selling something complicated like a CSA or like a side of beef, customers often have a lot of questions before they are willing to step into that territory for the first time, right? After they've done it the first time, they're like, oh, I get how this works. And they're regular buyers. But that first time is scary. And so a lead magnet, like a beef buyer's guide, can explain how much meat they're going to get, how the freezer space works, what the cuts are and what they're used for, how pricing works, how the deposit works, how payment works, how the cut sheet works, right? That one guide can remove a huge number of the objections and get them on your email list so that you can then pitch them via email with an automated promotional email sequence, which is something you totally can do inside of our marketing school. I teach you how to create those kinds of email sequences and how to create lead magnets for that matter. So inside FMS, when farmers are trying to decide with me what their lead magnet should be about, this is one of the first questions I'll ask them. What objections do your customers have? Because sometimes your best lead magnet is simply the guide that answers their biggest questions. So for some of you who are listening right now, like alarm bells of excitement are going off. You're like, oh my gosh, this is what I could be doing. I have an idea. I'm going to create a guide and just start promoting that guide on your social media channel or as a pop-up on your website and see if it doesn't pull in more leads. Now, the value of a lead magnet like that is amplified when you have it connected to an automated email promotion sequence on the other side so that you can, go into your email service provider and create a series of 5 emails that drips out over the course of 7 to 10 days that will essentially pitch your product that they've downloaded the lead magnet guide about, and you overcome additional objections in there. You explain it even more. You tease up their desire. You show them how to go about buying it. And if you can connect those two so that when someone downloads the guide, they get tagged as interested in that meat share or bulk beef buy, whatever, and it automatically starts that email sequence. Now you have a greater chance of converting them into a customer. Okay, so that's an example of taking 2 marketing assets and connecting them together, and they were all triggered by simply trying to address frequently asked questions. Okay, another a marketing asset that I recommend putting the FAQs on is your website. In the website FAQ section, I know you've seen this in other places when you're shopping around and looking for products. I'm sure you've seen this. Hopefully you have one of these already on your farm website. It's very common to have a section where the most common questions are listed and answered. It's just very simple. Sometimes you'll see it as like a drop-down menu where you click on the question and then the answer appears, and then it can disappear again when you click on the arrow again. Look, this is powerful because it's a set it and forget it kind of asset. Once it's written, it works for you all of the time because people are always going through your website, hopefully. Again, in the website makeover project inside of Farm Marketing School, this is a question I make you ask. Will you include an FAQ section on your homepage? I recommend that you do. And if so, where does it go? There's an ideal place that it goes. What should be included? And you're going to have to think through what are the key questions that I'm putting on there. Okay, so definitely website. It can also go tucked inside of a product description in your online store. So as you're talking about the product in the product description, you may weave in answers to those FAQs in the product description itself. Okay, number 3 is emails. Emails are another great place to overcome objections. When I launched my recent chicken pork share promo, I included entire emails dedicated to answering FAQs. In fact, I think there was one email that was called the FAQ email. It had like 12 FAQs just listed one on top of the other, so a person could skim through and find the ones that they were concerned about. And then I had a whole email that was just talking about what goes in the bag, like what comes in the monthly chicken bag, because that was more substantial and I needed to talk through ingredients and for sausages, and there was just more, and I didn't want to overload an email with too many things. So that got its very own email because it was just such an important FAQ. And so inside Farm Marketing School, when farmers are building out their email promotion sequence as an automation, this is something I am constantly beating the drum about. What objections do your customers have? What questions are holding them back? And how can your email content remove those objections? A lot of times farmers are like, I don't know what to talk about in my promotion sequence. And man, it's so easy if you just start with FAQs, like just make a list of your FAQs. And that right there is going to give you probably 70% of the content of those promo emails. Okay, and then social media is another one that I wanted to mention. It's a great place to address FAQs. In fact, I recommend that farms rotate through their top FAQs regularly in their content because social media constantly has new followers for you. It's the top of funnel asset in your sales funnel. Most farmers are using it as a place to just pitch offers and try to get people to go right to the store and buy. And that's fine, but I don't find that that's a place where I get a lot of my sales from. My primary purpose of social media is to attract my ideal customer, get their eyeballs to look at me and fall in love with me, and then get on my email list. And so I have to be answering questions for them to pull them deeper into the funnel. So maybe once a month, you are posting something like, how does CSA pickup work? Where are the locations? What days? How does CSA payment work? What does CSA even stand for? What actually comes in a CSA box? Would I be a good fit? How do I know? Do I have to be a member of your CSA if I just want to buy from your online store a la carte each week? Right? These are examples of questions in my FAQ stack, and I know what they are, and I am literally repeating them in a monthly social media plan over and over and over again. I might change the picture occasionally, but a lot of times the captions are the exact same as they were the month before because I know that there are new eyeballs coming in all the time and they haven't seen this information yet and they have to see it to remove the friction and be able to move forward. Okay, so these kinds of posts quietly remove objections, make sure you know what they are and that you are repetitively putting them on your social media. This is great because when it's time to actually sit down and figure out what do I even post about, which is a common question of farmers in farm marketing school, they're kind of overwhelmed, like, oh, I don't know what to say. And once you realize, oh, a large chunk of my social media content needs to be repetitive content where I'm answering these FAQs, it plugs up a lot of the holes in your schedule really fast, leaving you actually with very little room for the day-to-day, like behind the scenes, what's going on in the moment kind of posts. So this is definitely something that we address in the social media planning section. There's an entire project where I teach you how to figure out what should be in your social media plan. And once you figure out the content buckets and the repetitive rhythm, it's very freeing. And the FAQs are a huge part of that. I'm going to briefly just mention YouTube here. This wasn't in my notes, but for those of you who are using YouTube, which is fabulous if you are, even just very organic, kind of taken from my phone. It's not super cleaned up or edited. I'm just throwing it onto my YouTube channel. That is really great for attracting new eyes onto your brand, creating authority. If you are a little bit intentional about the kinds of content that you're creating for your YouTube channel, you could be addressing some of these FAQs as content in some of those videos. You could even stick them together into a playlist of FAQs and objections so that people just buzz right through them and binge them. And that by the time they've watched 5 or 6 of your short form video content that has essentially answered those questions, they might be ready to buy now. Just make sure that in your product description or your video description that you have links, you have next steps, you point them of where to go to take them off that platform and get to your website or get to your store or get on your email list so they can move forward and get into your ecosystem. Finally, testimonials and reviews are incredibly powerful assets because your very own customers answer the objections for you. And that's huge. You'll often see reviews that say something like, I wasn't sure this was going to work for my family, but, fill in the blank. And then they explain how it ended up working really great. And those kind of reviews help future customers overcome the exact same hesitation. So if you have reviews that are speaking to some of your FAQs and objections, you should promote those. You should be talking about those. You should be pointing to those. You should be coaching your customers to leave those kinds of reviews if possible because they're very powerful. So definitely include a section on your website or be throwing them into your social media rotation, be putting testimonials, those kind of testimonials into your promo emails because it's basically functioning as an objection buster and it's coming straight from the customer's mouth, which is more powerful than coming from you. Today's podcast is sponsored by Farm Marketing School. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to talk to those of you who are thinking, okay, I get it, Corinna, I need a better marketing system. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know I don't believe in random point and shoot marketing. I don't believe in just posting and crossing your fingers and hoping. And I definitely don't believe in working harder every season just to feel the same stress again. And that's why I created Farm Marketing School. It's my monthly membership where I teach you step by step how to build a connected marketing system for your farm. Not just more ideas or fluff, it's a structure. Inside FMS, we start with a sales funnel audit so that you can map your entire customer journey and see what's working, because you probably have some things that are working and what's missing. And then you build one focused marketing asset at a time. Your weekly email system, your promotion calendar, your product ladder, your lead magnet, your social media plan that actually supports your whole system. And each of these projects is designed as a 30-day finish line. So you don't overhaul everything overnight, you build intentionally to the plan. And over time, those pieces start to connect. And that's when the flywheel starts spinning. That's when revenue feels more predictable. That's when your marketing feels lighter. Farmers inside FMS have told me things like, I finally feel like I'm on the right track. Or, we saw a huge jump in sales during our slowest months. That's not because of luck. It's because of the structure. So if you're the kind of farmer who has proven that you can grow something, but you're bumping up against the ceiling of now what, this is for you. It's $69 month to month. There's also an annual option if you know you're ready to commit. And you can learn more about Farm Marketing School and join my amazing community of farmers at mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. All the details for how it works is there. That's mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And now back to the show. All right, so how do you identify your farm's objections? Well, if you've been farming for a few years now, you probably already know them, because they're the questions that customers ask you over and over and over again ad nauseum. Okay, write them down if you haven't already. Like I said, usually farms have about 5 to 7 major ones. If you are newer to the farm entrepreneur space, you can still figure this out. You can pay attention to your customer conversations. So, in the next 2 weeks, I know you're having fabulous conversations with clients at the market. In the next 2 weeks, I want you to continue having them, but I want you to bring an awareness, like just kind of turn on a special spidey sense where you are trying to notice the concern behind the question. Why is this person asking the question the way they are? Right? Just get curious and pay attention and notice what are the things that keep coming up. You could ask your customers directly, especially the ones who have already passed over the hurdles. You could ask them, hey, what were some of the things that kind of confused you before you became a customer? Or what were some of your concerns? Or why did you ultimately decide you wanted to go with our farm? Reading reviews is another great hack for figuring out your customers' objections, because sometimes, like I said before, you'll find them saying something like, well, I was worried about XYZ, but I didn't have to because this farm is really great. And you can look at that objection piece and figure out, oh, that's something that concerns people. Another thing you could do is look at other farms' websites and study your competitors' FAQ sections, because their customer is often very similar to yours, and you can just make like a best guess. So here is your homework from today's episode. I want you, if you haven't ever done this before, to write down or brainstorm the 5 to 7 objections that your customers have before they buy. Okay, this could be very easy, black and white, easy to answer, yes or no, factoid kind of questions. Or it could be a little bit more like objections where you might have to do a little bit of mindset rewriting to help a person overcome a fear or a scarcity mindset or a myth that they've bought into. And you've got to somehow help them see the situation from a different perspective. Okay. So then ask yourself, where in my marketing do I answer these objections? Try to find out where they are. Is it on your website? Is it in your emails? Is it on your social media? Is it in your product description? If the answer is nowhere, then you've just discovered a roadblock in your sales funnel. Congratulations. We all have them. Because every unanswered objection creates friction, and good marketing removes friction. So if you have discovered that, oh, this is a roadblock, this is something I have not addressed at all anywhere in my sales process, like I just want to congratulate you for seeing it, because now you know how to fix it. And you can go and take action. You can create a couple of mechanisms in your business now, whether it's, oh, I'm going to add this to my website. That's going to take you an hour. Just go do it, and boom, you've got one mechanism now working for you. Or, I'm going to make sure that I have a social media post that answers these 5 FAQs every single month. And you're going to go write them, or you're going to ask ChatGPT to write them for you, and you're going to stick them in a Google Doc, and you're just going to go every month and plug them in and schedule them, and boom, you've just solved that problem. Do you see how you built a mechanism to handle this part, this roadblock in the sales funnel? This is what we do inside of farm marketing school. So if you want help building the kinds of marketing assets that solve these problems, things like incomplete, inconsistent, unintentionally planned social media plans, things like email promotion sequences, lead magnets, customer journeys, that's all the exact kind of work that we do inside of farm marketing school. So one of the things you're going to hear me say over and over again in there is, have you addressed the FAQs? Where are you addressing the FAQs? Because once you start thinking through that lens, you're going to see objections everywhere. You're going to see opportunities everywhere to be addressing them. So much of my content is really just addressing FAQs and customer objections. It's a huge part of it. It's suddenly just makes content creation really easy if you just start there and keep repeating it over and over again. So when you answer these objections well, your marketing becomes a lot more effective. All right, my friends. I hope that was helpful. Today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/353. And if you liked this episode, if you found it helpful and you want to share it with another farmer, please just grab the link, text it to them right now, or tell them about my podcast. I would love for as many people as possible to know I exist. Go leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. That would be swell too. I love to read those. And remember, you can get on my email list too, because when you do, I'm going to give you a ton of awesome information. It's free. It's going to make your marketing better. If you read the emails and you take action, you are going to slowly turn into a marketing maven. So I would love to have you in my community. Even better, come into farm marketing school, make an investment in yourself, in your marketing edge, and work on it for 4 or 5 months. You can make so much progress, remove so many obstacles and hurdles, finally build these assets in your machine, the systems, the mechanisms, and connect them. That's when the power starts to happen. And I would love to coach you through that, encourage you, and help you get it done. You can learn more by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. Man, I know some farmers think to themselves, oh, it's getting busy, main season. I don't have time to work on this. I'm going to back out of farm marketing school. But I personally think that in the main season, it's really, really valuable to be in the school, because then you can come to us in real time when you're dealing with stress, with I'm not making enough sales, I'm not hitting my goals, I'm having customer issues. This came up. I've got a big revenue goal I've got to hit now because Q3 sales aren't coming in. And we can figure it out together. It's just an amazing place to be when you're in the thick of it and feel supported and encouraged. So I hope you come in and join my community. I love it. I'm passionate about it, and I would love to coach you. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. Have an amazing week. And remember, I believe in you. Bye-bye.